This is the story of my second unmedicated birth of my baby girl, Emma. It's a positive birth story, and hopefully this demonstrates that you can have the birth of your dreams in any setting, whether it's at home or at a hospital. On the night of August 31st, I went to bed in the living room of our house. I had been suffering with a terrible illness, probably bronchitis, for several days now. The timing was terrible. Being 9 months pregnant with bronchitis, a giant belly, and acid reflux, I was sleeping in a sitting position on the recliner of our living room, and occasionally laying down on the couch if the coughing eased up. I was sleep deprived from days and days of coughing. I tried to go to sleep that night, and I wondered, will baby Emma come tonight? I was 40 weeks and 1 day pregnant. Part of me wanted her to come tonight, preferably before midnight, so that she doesn't miss the cutoff date for schools in the future. But part of me wanted her to wait just a little bit longer to give me some more time to recover from my illness. I wanted to be strong for the birth. But tonight felt different. After days of sleepless nights and coughing, I drifted off into a deep sleep, and I barely woke up. I barely coughed. I felt rested for the first time in weeks, maybe even months. And when I woke up with some cramping on September 1st, sometime between 2:30 and 3 a.m., I was fully energized and barely coughing. I felt the all too familiar contractions that I had been feeling for weeks. Were these more Braxton Hicks contractions, or was this the real deal? I decided to wait it out a little bit before waking anyone else up. I had had a few false alarms up until this point, and I even asked my husband to take a day off work because I thought the baby was coming, and the baby didn't come. The contractions grew more intense and closer together. I started to time them. After maybe 20 or 30 minutes of waiting, I knew it was the real deal. The baby is coming. It's intensifying. I went to wake up my husband, and my mom woke up as well. She was going to watch our toddler while we were gone. My husband packed up our car, and we started the 1-hour drive to the hospital. While we were driving, my contractions intensified. Everyone had told me that second babies come faster, and I was very, very concerned that we would be having a car birth this time around. So I had researched up on what to do just in case I have a car birth. Fortunately, there was no car birth, and we made it to the hospital with plenty of time to spare. After a nurse verified that I was indeed in labor and checked me in, my husband and I were brought to the room where I would be giving birth. For my first birth, I had done months and months of research. I had enrolled in a hypnobabies course. I was doing meditations and affirmations and preparing my mind and body for the birth. For this birth, however, I was winging it. I was too busy with my toddler while I was pregnant, and I had no time for myself. I arrived at the hospital with no playlists, no birthing tracks, and no special outfit like I had had with my first. But I did, however, come armed with an abundance of confidence, and that goes a long way. I had done this before, and I can do it again. I knew I had it in me. Once I was in the hospital room, the contractions got so intense that I was only partially present. My body was in the hospital room, but my mind was elsewhere as I rode the waves of contractions. I remember looking outside the hospital window and fixating on a giant spider that was just outside the window. I'm not sure why, but the images of that spider are deeply ingrained in the memories of my birth. Anyway, someone filled up the bathtub. I'm not sure if it was my husband or the nurse, and I got in as soon as I could. The nurses and the midwife left us alone and told us to call them if we needed them. I was thankful for the privacy. This is what I wanted and what I longed for. The warm water enveloped me, and I began my conscious journey of bringing Emma into this world. My husband used his phone and turned on some spiritual meditation music for me. As my contractions intensified, I sensed the presence of countless women who had done this before me. I could do this. I had done it before. Water births were not allowed at the hospital, unfortunately. Their policy was that I had to leave the bathtub before giving birth. I kept thinking, what if I accidentally have a baby in here? It would be much more relaxing in the bathtub. Later, my midwife did tell me that it has happened to people before, that they accidentally have a birth so quick that they stay in the tub. I kept checking the clock over and over again to see how much time had passed. They say second babies come earlier, and my first labor was 6 hours long. That means baby Emma will come no later than 9 a.m., I thought to myself. I was hoping, however, that she would come much sooner than that. Contractions intensified. It was almost 7 a.m. at this point. My toddler was going to wake up soon. Would he miss me? How would he react when he saw that I wasn't there? I kept thinking about my toddler while I was having contractions. Contractions intensified. Time seemed to be passing very, very slowly. Will baby Emma arrive before my toddler wakes up or after? What's my toddler having for breakfast? I wondered. Why is my baby not here yet? It was close to 8 a.m. My toddler was definitely awake at this point. Contractions intensified. There was some blood in the bathtub. My husband helped get it out. At some point between 8 and 9 a.m., my body felt the urge to push. I knew that was a sign that the baby was coming really, really soon. And then my body started pushing on its own. The pain intensified. I reached down into the bathwater and placed my hand between my legs. And to my surprise, I felt a head. It felt like a bubble, very soft and squishy, like my waters were still intact. Feeling Emma's head was both scary and exciting. She was almost here, but the hardest part was about to begin. I told my husband to call the midwife and nurses. He went to get them and they came running into the room. As I expected and did not look forward to, they made me get out of the bathtub. And as you can probably imagine, when you have like a head hanging out between your legs, standing up and getting out of the bathtub is not the easiest or most pleasant thing to do. So they were helping me and supporting me to get out. As I waddled over to the hospital bed, I remembered my first birth. I remembered how I ended up on my back, the worst position for giving birth. I vowed not to be in that position again. So as I crawled up onto the hospital bed, I pulled together all of my strength and I got on my hands and knees. The nurses and midwives gathered around me. It's actually a hilarious picture in retrospect. I remembered an Instagram video I saw that told me how to position my legs and feet to open up my pelvis more. And while on all fours, I pushed with all the energy I had left. The familiar feeling came back to me. That stinging, burning feeling you get when you push the baby's head out. It's something you only feel at the very, very end. And in 2 hard but very productive pushes, 6 minutes after leaving the bathtub, baby Emma came out and entered this world at 9:05 a.m. on September 1st, 6 hours after feeling the first contractions. I did it for the second time. I felt accomplished, proud, relieved. My baby girl was here. My first baby, Danny, was a brother now. Our family was complete. Welcome to the world, little Emma. Being pregnant, giving birth, none of it is easy. But we're strong, and if we carry confidence and determine with us while we embark on this journey, we can have an empowering birth to reflect back on. This is just my story, but we all have our own unique and special stories, so feel free to share yours in the comments. I would love to read it. If you're new here, my name is Nicole and I have a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old baby girl. So if you're an expecting or new mom, feel free to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to listen to the story of my first unmedicated birth, then definitely check out this video right here on the end screen. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.